Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin, principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud Lawyers Who Care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Andrew Mazan. He's an attorney at Warnken, based in Baltimore. And Andrew practices workers' compensation and personal injury law, and he represents clients throughout Maryland. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, Andrew, tell us what brought you to the law as a profession.
So I took the scenic route, and you've probably met people who didn't go straight to undergrad and law school. So my story is a little bit different. When I was 18, I was diagnosed with very aggressive cancer. So I had stage 3 cancer, and I was given about a 20% chance of living. And so I dropped out of college. I went to community college. I flunked out because I had to remain a student in order to keep health insurance. And so early on, I understood what happens when insurance companies don't do the right thing. And so for me, once I was declared in remission, I did a lot of soul searching, and I started to kind of be drawn into the law because of things you see and kind of people you talk to. And so my path was a little bit different. I took some time off. I lived in California. I did some soul searching, and I went to law school a little bit later in life, not until I was 27 years old. And so I credit an undergrad professor from teaching me about civil liberties. And that really sparked something in me to kind of develop a passion, right? And so that's why when I decided to go to law school was after I took that course, and after I kind of had some life events happen to me to kind of figure out where my purpose in life was and how I could be most useful to people in my community. And that's what I found was through a service-based position as being an attorney.
And you know, there's many different focus areas in the law. What made you choose workers' comp and PI?
So I went into law school wanting to handle criminal law. I think most people that enter law school have some sort of idea of what they want to do. My firm where I practice now, we handle all civil litigation. So they were doing personal injury, medical malpractice, workers' comp. And when I first started to get into workers' comp, it felt right to me. You know, I grew up in a blue collar family. I'm a first generation lawyer. I'm a first generation graduate school attendee. And so when you have hardworking blue collar citizens of America and they lose the ability to provide food for their families, and insurance companies have something to do with that, that does not sit right with me. So when I first started to meet these people, you know, I quickly realized that 99% of all folks who get hurt on the job are doing the right thing. They're going to work every day. They're supporting their families. They're supporting their kids. They're trying to work to get their kids through school. And so when they sustain an injury and they're unable to provide for their family, I get a great passion and able to be a part of getting them back into society.
And so before this video started, you and I were chatting a little bit about, you know, what the workers' comp environment, you know, looks like and some of the headwinds, you know, that you face. Can you share with us what that environment looks like, and then maybe what you do as an attorney to attempt to equalize some of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So in Maryland, and the law differs around the country, so each state is different. But in the state of Maryland, once somebody gets hurt on the job, they file a claim, they go through the process. The insurance company has a couple of weeks to contest that the claim happened or to accept the claim. Now, part of what we're seeing is you get insurance companies, and a lot of times you're dealing with out-of-state adjusters who just don't know the law in Maryland. So when you have somebody who maybe is out of work and they don't have any income coming in, you might have an adjuster who's in the state of Texas who's just denying benefits because they feel like it. Maybe they don't like the way that person looks. Maybe they don't think that person has a legitimate injury. So the law in Maryland obviously it doesn't discriminate. So when we have our hardworking injured workers, we have insurance companies who are denying benefits. They're not paying timely benefits. They're not authorizing medical care in a timely manner to get these folks back to work. So what my firm does and what I do is we step in and we make things happen. So we're requesting hearings with the state of Maryland. Something that I do is ruffle feathers, right? So you probably talk to a lot of people who this is by the book, this is the way that it happens. There's statutes on the book in Maryland that allow for certain things to happen when insurance companies don't do the right thing. Something that we pride ourselves on is going that extra mile, because if this is a situation where you have an insurance company who's simply not doing the right thing, if you can send a subpoena to that individual and have them come testify as to why they're not doing the right thing, 99% of the time they will understand why that is against the law. And it's about implementing systemic change, even if it's 1%, even if it's 1%, that the baseline of how these people are going to be treated changes down the road after our case concludes, then to me, that's a success. So part of what our firm does is we don't take no for an answer. We don't stop until our clients get the benefit of whatever law we are trying to pursue for them. So that's part of how we go the extra mile, is because I'm not afraid to upset an insurance company when they are taking advantage of my client. Because at the end of the day, I sleep well knowing that I'm doing the right thing for these hardworking people.
And so before we wrap up, if you were going to leave our listeners with one takeaway, what would it be?
Do your research, know who you're hiring, and know whether or not that firm is going to do right by you, or whether they're going to try and settle your case for fast money, right? Because that's a situation that some people get into is, let's say you have a case and they settle it for fast money, you are going to be in a worse off position down the road having accepted that offer. I'll tell you a quick story before we wrap up.
Sure.
Earlier this year, I had a client who came in and they had been represented by another attorney, right? And the other attorney had done some things that I didn't agree with. And when I took the case, I knew that there wasn't going to be much money in it for me because that person had already done all the work. And so the principle of the matter did not sit right with me. So I took on this client knowing that I wasn't going to get the fee that the other lawyer had done the work. And we had to rescind all of those other processes and settlement negotiations that lawyer had done. So that's an example of what our firm is different, is because it's not just about the money for us. It's about getting these people back to life and back to society. So if I had to give one piece of advice, I would say make sure when you hire a lawyer, you are hiring the right lawyer for you. If that lawyer is not going to give you the time of day, let you know exactly what is going on with your case, let you know the good, the bad, you probably need to hire another lawyer.
Interesting. That's wonderful counsel. By the way, today my guest is Andrew Mazan. He's an attorney at Warnken. Andrew, can you provide our audience with your contact information?
Absolutely. So I can be reached at warnkenlaw.com. It's www.warnkenlaw.com. My phone number is also 443-548-3000. You can contact me through the website. I also have an Instagram, it's amazon.esq. Reach out to me there. I post some legal content.
Gotcha. That's very helpful. By the way, this has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. Andrew is a perfect example of that. You know, if you're an attorney or no one who does go above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.